The morning of the 5th, you went to resign your position. Why?
Objection. I think it's relevant.
I think it is.
I'm going to allow it.
Okay.
I decided to retire.
Isn't part of that retirement because you were asked to take a psychological exam before you went back to work?
No.
So your chief didn't have an issue with you showing up to work the day before you went to resign and saying, I have to...
Now, wait a second. Back up a second. Rephrase your, or ask me your question again.
Were you not asked by your chief, or told by your chief, that you could not return to work until you had taken a psychological examination?
That's not true.
And let me for the record object. I don't think there's any relevance to whether a civil stalking protective order should be issued because of the events of December, but...
Your Honor, I don't know.
Okay.
It has relevance.
Okay.
The relevance is due to behavior that was exhibited by Mr. Linger on all those occasions, even the ones that he denies.
Well, it doesn't matter what Mr. Linger did before. What matters is the contact he had with this individual and whether that amounts to stalking and menacing under the Ohio Revised Code.
Okay.
Are we off the
I'm going to allow your question about the psych exam, and I'm noting your objection to the same.
Okay. He's answered it, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, right, okay, all right.
So you're saying you were not asked?
His question was, did the chief of police...
Did you answer the question?
Yes,
Okay.
I answered the question.
Did the chief of police direct you not to return to work until you had some evaluation as to your fitness for position?
Oh, okay, now you're rephrasing it a little bit.
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
yes. Yes, he did. And you want to hear the story? Because it's up to my attorney.
No, let him ask the question. So.
I'd love to hear the story.
Okay.
I got upset. I was filling out my time card. I put my time card in the drawer, and I slammed the file cabinet drawer, and I put a dent in the front of the file cabinet. And I got pissed. And I said, fuck this place. I'm done with law enforcement. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of dealing with people. I'm finished. I've got 23 and a half years. I've got my retirement locked in. And I had a conversation with my coworker, or my supervisor, and I told him the same thing. I said, I'm fed up. And I told him, I said, I'm taking some time off, I'm taking leave. I put in for 4 days sick time. And at that moment, I was ready to turn my badge in right at that moment, okay? Well, my supervisor has recently got promoted to sergeant. So he's young, he's a young sergeant, he's worried about everything. He doesn't obviously want to get in trouble. And when everybody came in the next day, my supervisor told the story of what had transpired the day before. My chief called me in the morning and said, Art, you know, I understand, blah, but you've got a temper. He says, before you come back to work, he said, there's somebody that I want you to talk to. And I said, Chief, and we had a good conversation. I said, well, I'm just going to have to decide what I'm going to do, okay? So then I waited a couple days, and I made a decision. I looked inward at myself. When you're a police officer, you take an oath of office to uphold the laws and the Constitution of the United States to protect and serve. And I had to do an inward look at myself and determine whether I feel that I'm fit for duty. So I made a decision on my own that I'm no longer fit for duty. Because I'm 55 years old, I've been working my entire adult life full-time and answering to people, and I've got people like Mr. Walls harassing me, along with everything else that goes on the job. And yeah, that's exactly right. He's the reason, one of the reasons that I quit my job, okay? But my chief said, no, you've served this community proudly, you've served it diligently, you've done your job, and you can retire knowing that you did your job, and you can hold your head high knowing you walked out of here after 18 and a half years, okay? So that's the story.
Great. And what your testimony is that from February 14, 2017 to December 5, 2017, there was no other contact?
No.
All right. Sure. I'm going to show you, we'll mark this as plaintiff's 2. You heard testimony from Mr. Walls, you may have recall, that there were several instances where you would flip him off or he would see you try to make contact with him. This is a photograph dated February 19th, 2017.
Uh-huh.
What is your assigned, or what was your assigned vehicle number?
We don't have assigned vehicle numbers.
Okay.
We drive whatever we want to drive.
All right. Do you see a photo? There are 2 photos, and then there are 3 photos beneath.
Correct.
Do you see those?
Yes.
Do you see the officer, and this is a person who was wearing glasses, on the bottom right photo with his hand up after at least looking at the photographer? Do you know what that person is doing?
I have no idea.
All right. So when Mr. Walls testified, that was an instance where you beckoned him over to try and talk to him. You would say that's not you.
I don't think that is me, no.
All right.
And I've seen this photo before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you also testified that there were, you heard testimony where there were a number of instances where Mr. Walls or his family members were followed by you or other members of Waterville Police Department.
Mm-hmm.
You deny them all?
I deny them all. It's ludicrous.
Oh.
Now, this is the day that I had just resigned my position as a peace officer in the morning. So I yelled at him as he's riding away on his bicycle. I said, Mr. Walls, so you know, I resigned my position as a peace officer this morning. I'm no longer a police officer. If you want to keep harassing me, I'm going to file a police report against you. And yes, then I did yell a couple. I'm sorry. Yes, then I did yell a couple words.
Okay.
So they let me retire, which I really appreciated.
And do you still consider yourself unfit for duty?
No, I don't, because I'm not on duty anymore.
Aren't you seeking employment as a police officer normally?
Excuse me?
Are you seeking employment as a police officer in any jurisdiction?
No, I'm retired.
All right. Well, we agree you have a temper.
No, I'm saying I'm retired, see, because I'm retired now, and when I was a police officer, I had to keep my mouth shut,